So as always, everybody's muted. So if you do have questions, Ian is going through the presentation. Please add them to the chat, and we'll make sure those get addressed before the end of the session. And with that said, Bien, I'll turn it over to you and let you take over.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. Thanks for joining the tips and tricks call today. This call is recorded and will be available after today's meeting. My name is Bien, and I'm the Regional Threat Prevention Expert here at Checkpoint, covering different vectors, different industries, healthcare and government and education and state and local. And so I bring in a lot of use cases and knowledge about why it's important to have a forensics capability for your endpoint security. So where are we today? The way that I'm going to organize today's call is we're going to go over a high level of Checkpoint and then go into the capabilities, the engines that are running to create the forensics report. And then after that, we'll go into a live demo of an actual attack and how forensics is created. So here we go. So where are we today? Checkpoint started in 1993 as the first firewall vendor. Now, attacks have evolved into what we call the Gen 5 attacks. These are mega attacks done by nation states. They're attacks that are created from past events, past attacks that were created from before. And so no longer are we protecting just the firewall or internet security. We're getting attacked from all sides. And Checkpoint has built in an architecture, what we call Checkpoint Infinity, where we can control multi-vector attacks, whether it be on the firewall, on your mobile, in the cloud, or your network. And the one piece missing is you. You put everything together. And so here we have on the top left-hand corner, security for your mobile, security for your cloud, your network, and endpoint, and everything is put together in one management console. So what we'll see today is we're going to focus on endpoint, and we're going to show you how, if I made an attack, a ransomware attack, how that is fed into the management system here at Checkpoint and shared through our threat intelligence so that you're protected along all different other puzzle pieces like your mobile or your cloud or your network, now having a zero-day signature into a known signature. So here's Checkpoint Sandblast Agent. Just to bullet point some key topics that I will be sharing with you today. We'll talk about zero-day behavioral protection. Notice it's behavioral, and it means that we do not have a signature for it. So we're basing the protections only on the behavior and how a Word document or PDF reacts to our environment. We'll talk about ransomware protection and exploits. Phishing protection is very unique here at Checkpoint with some of the the social engineering attacks that we see today and creating forensics around that. And of course, breach containment. If you were attacked, what did your computer do? And an automatic forensics report. So the Sandblast Agent provides purpose-built advanced zero-day threat protection to protect against web browsers and endpoints, and it leverages our industry-leading network protections as well. So we're protecting evasive attacks, or we're intercepting these attacks in runtime. So before it's able to actually spread into the network or into the computer by intercepting it at the code level, and then containing and remediating an attack. And how are we doing this? Part of our solution here at Checkpoint is a zero trust model. What we have is real-time prevention with threat extraction. So essentially, the zero trust model will extract all potentially malicious elements out of a Word document. Say, for example, a Word document that could explode into a malware. Another way we're doing it is reconstructing the document and creating a clean PDF. The super way of cleaning a document. So actively, Word documents, PDFs, what cyber criminals are doing is they're embedding code and Java code inside of your well-known documents, PowerPoints even. And what we're doing is we're eliminating any potentially malicious active content and providing a clean copy for the user. And how this works? Well, it's a series of events that occurs. So we start with threat extraction to deliver a safe version of the content quickly. But at the same time, we're running threat emulation, what we call sandboxing, what the industry calls sandboxing. We're doing both operating system level emulation and CPU level detection. And this is what will create the forensics report that I will show you in a few minutes, the sandboxing part. And we're using this CPU level detection and this operating system level emulation to identify if a document is malicious or not, all while the user has a safe copy to work with. So here's a list of all the many different engines that are running in parallel while a user is browsing the internet or using his computer on a daily basis. Checkpoint extends its protections to endpoint devices, again, providing many different engines. And some that I like to highlight, we have a human interaction simulator. What that means is when a file is being exploded inside of our threat emulation or sandboxing, the mouse is moving around. It's clicking in different places. What we see here is evasion-resistant malware, or malware is evasion-resistant, and able to see that it's a virtual machine. But Checkpoint has created our virtual machines or emulation environments in a way that an attacker won't be able to bypass. And we've been tested by NSS Labs to have the highest catch rates and 100% catch rates against evasion-resistant malware. Other things I would like to share, we have link scanners. We're scanning links within inside emails. There's deep scans. And it's a lot of behavioral and artificial intelligence that's being included inside of the forensics report. So this is what occurs in the back end, what things that you do not see. Uniquely here at Checkpoint, we're also doing forensics on websites, sites that has never been seen before. Here you see here a user go into his email and he clicks on a link. What we're doing is we're creating a forensics report or a forensics behavior report on the back in our threat cloud and on the browser level to check against, all right, well, does this website have the right IP reputation? Is it really Office 365? Does it have a lookalike favy icon? Like sometimes cyber criminals forget to put the bookmark icon, or text similarity. So we're creating a forensics report on each one of these websites, uploading that forensics reports to our threat cloud, which is our centrally managed database, and providing the user a verdict in seconds, a prevention of a phishing attack. And here we get into Behavior Guard. This is only one part of the forensics report, which I will show you the whole forensics report in a few minutes. But just to go over what Behavior Guard leverages. It leverages forensics to effectively and uniquely identify unknown malware behaviors and accurately classify malware to its malware family. The detection and classification process is based on the unique algorithms of minimal process execution tree similarities. This protection capability adapts to malware evolution over time and can be used to detect and prevent types of attacks, including legitimate scripting tools that are acting maliciously. So upon detection by behavior guard, Sandblast agent will block an attack, remediate it, and automatically create a forensics report. And then this, what you see in front of us, is what we call malware DNA. We're actually, in behavior guard and our forensics tool, we're able to say which part of the attack chain is malicious. And then what we're saying is this part of the attack, the DNA of it, the cancerous part, we've seen before. We've seen in 2006, 2017, 2017 May, in August 2017 in May. And this is an example of a Cerber. Cerber was an attack that occurred during these dates. And we're able to say, because we have created a malware DNA, because we have seen a similar attack before, we have high confidence that this is not a false positive. And we have a high confidence this is a malware family that is attacking our organization. And it could be a persistent malware family, maybe from a persistent attack, cyber criminal. And here, this is the end of my PowerPoint slides, and then we'll go into demo. There's a lot of engines that are running in parallel with our forensics tool, which is right here at the bottom, to prevent against zero-day attacks. And we have both signature-based with anti-malware. We have USB protection to protect against viruses that are coming through the ports. We also have both browser-based for your popular browser engines protections and system-level protections. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right into a demo. Let me see here. So the demo that I'm going to show you today is I'm going to run a ransomware attack. The ransomware attack might take a few minutes to actually populate. So while we're running through the forensic of the ransomware attack, I'll walk you through a few examples that I've created before this call. So let's go ahead and open up. Let's run a ransomware attack here. So what we're going to do, I created a vulnerability, a unpatched. So IE Explorer, Internet Explorer, that is unpatched. It's a vulnerability that is actually still unpatched today called VB script God mode. This allows me to inject code into a website and then run a script that downloads ransomware onto this computer without the user even knowing. So let me show you what that looks like. So I'm gonna go in here, I created a website that looks like an e-commerce website. Easy store, right? It's Christmas time, you wanna go shopping, you go to my site, buy some shoes, and in a few minutes, my engine is going to detect, you see here that WannaCry is now populating into my files directory. It's actually encrypting, adding ransomware notes. More importantly, my checkpoint behavior guard has activated. It saw that files were being created on my computer after opening up IE Explorer. It's seeing that files are being encrypted, and immediately shutting down the processes that affect my computer. So the process that was affecting my computer was IE Explorer, and it automatically shut that off so that more malware can't populate onto my computer. And you can see here this EKG monitor is actively running. It's running its ransom forensics tools. So let me go ahead and press OK, show you what's happening here. So I have, just to be clear about this is what the client looks like on a user's computer. You get the online, so this is the IP address of my management server. You have on the bottom right hand corner the version number right? It's always good to know what version you're on. Checkpoint releases a new Sandblast agent version almost every week. Every month. And we have major releases every quarter. Oh, now look, ransomware was detected. My computer's, the engine is running to understand what was affected, what was the business impact, and creating that report for you that I'll show you in a few minutes. So this takes a few minutes to populate because there's a lot of things happening. We're not only capturing forensics reports from our own engine, but we're actually able to capture forensics reports from maybe you have an AV solution already on your computer. So this security can work in tandem, in complementary to what your active AV solution is. So if you have Semantic or McAfee, you could still use it and still have forensics, checkpoint forensics. As you can see here, kind of highlight what I'm saying here is anti-bot, anti-ransomware, behavioral guard forensics, threat emulation, and anti-exploit. Notice that you're missing anti-malware. I didn't turn on anti-malware because I don't want to protect against a signature-based attack. I really want to just get the full attack to occur so that I can get a forensics report. So let's see here. So anti-ransomware showed up. Let me go ahead and show you what the forensics looks like. Might as well just, so the forensics report can be viewed from the user perspective. What he'll do is, or she will do, is go into anti-ransomware behavior guard forensics. He or she will be able to restore the files. So remember, the ransomware attacked my computer. Well, I can start restoring all the files back into its original state. This is important. This is a unique capability here. A lot of antivirus vendors aren't able to do this. They're able to restore files back into its original state, putting everything back so that the user can get later. And so what we're doing here is creating a file vault, a secure file vault on the computer that is encrypted, and even the cybercriminal won't be able to get to, of important file types on the computer, like Word documents, PDFs, pictures, anything that could cause business damage. And I'll show you here. These are the type of things: images, document files, RARs, text files. And so we successfully restored the files. Again, going back into the agent, you go into anti-ransomware behavior guard and forensics to get the full attack timeline. And I'm going to go into the first log. Oh, wow, look at this. Actually, let me pop this up. Let me see if I can full screen for you guys. A lot of things happened for us, and a lot of forensics was created after this attack. Let me reconnect. Wow, okay. All right, this gives us a lot of information to work with. Let's go ahead and kind of dissect everything that we can find. All right, starting by here. On the top of the menu, you'll see here the status. The status is clean. What we've created from our behavior guard and in malware DNA is that this actually attack was a WannaCry, from the WannaCry malware family. The severity level, which engine caught this malware. So our anti-ransomware was triggered during this attack. We saw here that actually putty.exe was a trigger point. Well, what happened was when I clicked onto that website earlier and it exploded into malware, it was actually downloading putty. It looked like putty, but it was a malicious putty executable. And then on the right-hand side, you get the protection name and who was infected, the administrator. Going down the line, there's really 4 things that you need to take a look at when you're looking at this report. There's a lot, you see a lot of icons. Attack stats right here. Which malicious processes were involved or files that were involved in this attack. You would also want to look at business impact, and we'll go through each one. This business impact is what ransomware notes were created, what information was actually able to get sent to outside of the computer. So what DLP, data loss prevention, what type of data loss occurred. Again, we have the attack types. Usually that correlates with the malware family up here. We have remediation. This is a very important part. What occurred on the computer? What did checkpoint prevention features do in order to terminate, quarantine, and restore the files? And on the bottom, we have incident details, which we'll go into to analyze an attack even further. And then also the ability to automatically send this report to our incident response team. So automatically, if you click on the link on the top, bottom right-hand corner, it sends everything our incident response teams needs in order to start an attack remediation. But let me go ahead and go into a little bit more deep dive. So on a high level, it's going to give you attack stats, business impact, remediation, and your incident details. Let's go into a little bit more detail. So let's show you what an attack stats look like. The attack stats gives you the general details: who was infected, Pamela's PC, what client version they're running on, what operating system they're running on, which IP addresses that was attacked, right? So it could be something that you should look up into your firewall now, and we'll go into the central management to say and correlate, all right, well, let's take a look at all the forensics reports, all the web traffic from this IP address. We can easily do that in the centrally managed smart console. On the bottom here, you'll see the detection details. This was a malicious PuTTY executable. We prevented it with high confidence. All right, let me go ahead and, if you go back into the overview or you move to the next tab, so entry point correlates to this. So entry point was that IE Explorer. So it tells you exactly where the user clicked into the link or what application that was infected on the first touch. So let's go into entry point. So that's what a script executable process started after I opened up Explorer. Let's go into remediation. So remediation gives you what files were deleted on the computer, right? WannaCry was on my computer. DAT files and PKY files. We have MP3 files that were added to the computer. Even I don't know why the attack included a MP3, but yeah. So maybe it was. We have quarantine incident files. So all the WannaCry files that were added to my temp directory, we quarantined. And terminated incident processes. So these are all the processes that were terminated during the attack. So it opened up CMD, it opened up iCalcs, C scripts, tasks, executables. Let's look at the most important. If I were to choose all these tabs, the most important one that gives you the information that you need is business impact. What files were ransomed, right? Was it your JPEGs? And then you can correlate it with the 25 restored files, so to make sure that you get all your documents back. Let's look at policy violation. Oh, okay. Look at this one. Policy violation was this text file was read, right? Now you know that during this ransomware attack, the action was this the cybercriminal was able to read this text file, or the malicious processes read this text file, not necessarily meaning that the cybercriminal was able to read it. We prevented any communication to the malicious server, but the process read this text file. Oh, well, okay. So going back to overview, we can also go into suspicious activity. Again, this is your bottom right-hand corner. What happened into the system? If you want to really go into the code level, I can show you here the one event of ransomware creation. We had Windows directory lurking. So this is what the the process, it either modified or viewed different parts of the computer. We're not going to go through each one, but let me see here. Hiding files, right? This ransomware attack was able to add arguments into an executable. Dropping scripts. It dropped the .bat after during the creation of the putty executable. And now let's go into the last part. So we went through entry point, the remediation, the business impact, suspicious activity, and this is what, if I would say, the most beautiful part of our forensics report is the attack tree timeline. Look, check this out. So from the second that user clicked onto the link to all the executions of the malware, we're able to give you the full attack timeline. That DNA, the malware DNA report, right here. If I can print screen. We have putty.exe dropping executables, dropping scripts, process and temp. And then also we have, maybe this will be the DNA, it hides files. It also does file access control list modification. We're able to track that back and say, with these three things, it's going to trigger the WannaCry family ransomware attacks. But not only are we giving you this nice view, additionally what you get is more information about not only the whole entire attack, but even different elements of the attack. So what did this putty.exe do? The processes, the parent chains, they give you the parent chains of the executables. It can give you file operations that occurred during the attack, registry operations, like the WannaCry created the key and then another key was set in the temp directory, injection hooks, again back to suspicious events, and then the damage. What did this part of the attack do? Let me try to find another information here. Putty.exe, iCalcs, let me see. So this part of the attack, the file access control list modification, was able to create an argument to grant everyone access to this user's computer. So there's a lot of information that is created during a ransomware attack. Let me show you a couple more. So that's one that was created just right now. Let me show you a couple more that I have created. I have for you guys. I have another forensics attack that GANcrypt. GANcrypt was a malware family that occurred May of this year. So this is an attack that I created by installing Sandblast Agent onto my computer. So let's just look at this one. This one included a network connections map. I just want to highlight that one. That's the only difference. And what does that mean? We're actually, with our forensics engine, able to show you what IP addresses an attack is beaking out to. So in this case, it's beaking out to this HTTP 166.78.135.34. It's probably a proxy to somewhere else, but it's giving us the geographical locations of network activity. So this is the forensics report that's created during an attack. But let me show you threat emulation. So we talked about threat emulation, which is the sandboxing part of our solution. So say, for example, you're on a website and you download a Word document, but actually the Word document is an executable. So what Checkpoint is doing, so we're changing gears a little bit. Before we create the forensics report, there is an engine that's running called threat emulation. This is a threat emulation details report that is created after a user downloads a file onto his computer. So we see here the verdict is malicious with high confidence. This is a Trojan. we have a malware family of GangCrab, right? So we could understand which blocks, right? What blocks of code is related to this malware family attack, right? You get to see some of our threat research that has been done on this particular family. Similar behavior IOCs, what an IOC is an indicator of compromise. So adverse sucks forever is a similar indicator of compromise to the GangCrab malware family. You can see here that in this attack, it dropped a text file, and then the suspicious activities that were performed on the computer, very similar to the forensics analysis in this threat emulation details report, gives you all the malicious things that it's doing in our sandboxing environment. You can see here the mouse is moving around, right? Human interaction simulator. What you don't see is the time is moving, because what we see is malware waiting to detonate. So the time is moving, the date's moving, and it's actually exploding this malware. You don't see anything because this is what's called a fileless attack. There's no real file associated to this this attack. It's running all these DLLs and evasion resistant, generic creation or hidden of file systems, registry events. And on the bottom with our events forensics, we're also able to tell you how long it took for us to identify that this was a malicious download, right? So in 5 seconds, we're able to show you that the first process event occurred. And then after a longer, deeper analysis, a total of 208 seconds to get the whole entire attack timeline right here. But remember, even if it takes 208 seconds for the emulation to successfully run, the user has what we have is called the extracted copy, the sanitized copy that he gets immediately. Just remember that because the extracted copy will be what the user uses. All right, so I showed you a few examples of forensics and our threat details report. Let me go ahead and open up for any questions, but I want to also show you that everything is correlated into one management plane. So actually, let me just show you that. So any questions so far?
Hey, thanks, Ben. So we've got just a couple of questions that have come in. Something that popped in is the management. Is this just a on-prem only management, or is there a cloud management? How do we handle that?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a great question, actually. Let me see. So Checkpoint's management of the endpoint solution can be an on-prem, virtual ESXi, Hyper-V, or even one of our hardware management appliances, or it can be in the cloud. So we have extended the management features in the cloud, hosted by Checkpoint. So yes, so the answer is we have both cloud and on-prem based management today.
Okay, thank you. And if another question that came in, if I want to trial this, how do we go about it?
Oh, good question. That's another great question here. Let me show you. Checkpoint Sandblast agent. So by trialing this, all you have to do is save this link. So if you have my screen, I'm gonna actually blow it up. All we need is you to fill out this information, and one of our specialists will reach out to you and help you with the 30-day trial. And it's a full-featured 30-day trial. You'll get everything that you would get if you apply this into production. So the engineer will also walk you through deployment methods, best practices. We can run simulated ransomware attacks on the computers, on the lab computers. Or we could also, for the trial, run it in learning mode. So we could be kind of in the forensics and behavior guard features can be tuned down into a way that it only detects. It won't prevent, it will only detect, and you get that visibility on each endpoint that you install it on without impacting the user's daily operations. That is also part of the trialing of Sandblast Agent.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the last question you were getting ready to actually show the answer to the last question about being able to pass the forensics information back to the management.
Yes, I will show that. So if you guys, I know you guys have a phone or you guys have this recorded, just type in this URL. Let's see here. Type in this URL and it'll go get to your right into the Infinity account. Create your own Infinity account for Endpoint and we'll reach out to you for the trial. But I'm going to now show you how these attack stats are correlated, right? A lot of times today, you have different point solutions. You have one for endpoint, you have one for mobile, you have one for cloud. But what Checkpoint has done is we have consolidated the security into one management console, what we call Smart Console. So let me go into Smart Console. And this is the same console that you would manage a firewall gateway or a mobile device or the cloud. Let me see here. Right, so the gateways, you could see in with Smart Console what the management IP address is if you had a firewall, which is optional. You don't have to have a firewall when you have the endpoint management server. You go in here into Logs and Monitor. Logs and Monitor will give you high level of is a user actually infected right now? So 0 infected hosts. The endpoint was able to remediate the threat earlier. Another attack view, and I'll show you the different views that you get. There were one active host under attack, one that's still dormant you have to take a look at. With this attack view, you're actually able to even just go right into a filter. So you say there's an active host, Pamela's PC, of that color. If we double click into this, it will automatically filter out for me those particular logs. So it's able to give to me the forensics that was on Pamela's PC, but now uploaded into the management server. So these are two different, the server and the client are separated. They're not connected only by communication through HTTPS and HTTP to send the logs. And even the logs are encrypted TLS 1.2. So yeah, just a little bit more details on that. But look here, this is the same attack view that you get from the endpoint. So we get the origin, we have the policy that was preventing it. So the forensic setting was a policy. We have the severity level, the name of the file, the suspicious events. You could have all that just very summed up in one log details. And also you get the client information, desktop, the product version, maybe if you have a policy update, what policy version number it is. And also you get the forensics report. So this is the same forensics report that I walked you guys through earlier. So all brought back into one management. And other things that you can do, I'm going to go back into the management and show you a couple other things. You go in here, say for example, you had a bunch of logs. And a ransomware attack does occur. You get a lot of logs here. For best practices, what I like to do is I go to top blades, which is if I'm only I go into, all right, I only want to look at my forensics logs. So it filters out all the forensics logs. And I don't want to look at the ones that were prevented. I want to look at the only ones that were detected. So add to filter and detect. And essentially, I just created a filter with 2 clicks on all the detected forensics reports. And just to make sure that, and then to go back, I can go into these computers, Pamela's or the administrator local user, and do some more analysis on on those particular virtual machines. Again, let me also show you more to this centrally managed smart console. So we have created, so Checkpoint has created for you different views. I showed you, what was it called? I showed you the view for cyber attack view and endpoint view, but we also have threat prevention view. So this is a threat prevention view where you can get view of logs, whether you're an endpoint log or even a network firewall log. If you have turned on anti-bot or antivirus or IPS, you get a full view of an attack, of all the attacks in the last 5-7 days, or you could do month, or you can do a custom time period. Another thing I want to show you guys is not only do you have these views that you can view in Smart Console, that's great. What about creating reports? Things that you can, logs that are correlated to give you actionable items. So for example, if I go into threat prevention, I can create an action to say schedule a PDF of all the prevented malware that occurred weekly and get it to my desktop at 8 a.m. every morning. Press OK. You go into scheduled. It's going to schedule that to either you can edit it and then send it by email, right? So you can get that sent to you by email 8 a.m. for your boss on 8 in the morning, and then it will be saved in. Let me just run this report. I can run the report, and it gets saved as a PDF. So I can say actions, export the PDF. So it's export is started, generating a threat prevention report for the last 7 days. That's okay. It says it failed here, but it's probably because I'm clicking on and the virtual machine is running a little slow. But yeah, so ideally you'll get a threat prevention report. Yeah, so this is kind of going over the correlation of both network and endpoint security logs, and we can also incorporate cloud and mobile in these same tabs in Smart Console.
Great. Ian, this is great information. I really do appreciate you taking the time to go through this. And at this point, I'm not showing anybody else having any other questions. But as always, we'll make the video recording available at the end of this session, and for playback down the road if you forget anything or just want to revisit the content that was shared with you today. Terrific. We're going to finalize this session. I really appreciate everybody joining today. Thank you guys for Bien and Dan for putting this together, and everyone have a great holiday weekend. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.